Good morning, children. Children, in the previous class we tried to understand about the hydrosphere in detail. So let me quickly recapitulate what we have seen in the previous class and let us move on to the ocean depth today. Coming to the introduction of a hydrosphere, hydro comes from a Greek word called as hudor, which means water. So the water sphere we were trying to understand. So I mentioned about a evapotranspiration and sublimation and even exhalation as a process through which the water reaches into the atmosphere, and this water turns into clouds and then they get condensed and it leads to a process called as precipitation. And there are many other forms of precipitation even we have seen. Rainfall is the most common form of precipitation. Apart from the rainfall, we also find snowfall, sleet, fog. These all are the various forms of precipitation. And we later moved on to the percentage of the fresh water available on the earth. And to our surprising, we learned that 97.25% of the water available on the earth is saline water. And it's very meager, that is 0.35% of the water is available in the form of fresh water in the lakes, underground, and in many other. But most of the fresh water is available only in the form of ice. So this is what we have learned. And later we also had learned about the different oceans present on the earth: Pacific Ocean, Atlantic Ocean, Arctic Ocean, Indian Ocean. These were the Antarctic Ocean. These are the different oceans present. But even though geographers have divided these oceans into 5, but previously, millions of years ago, we have learned that there was a super ocean. As there was a supercontinent called as Pangaea, there is also a super ocean called as Panthasalà. So it's called as Panthasalà. This is the super ocean which was present. Later we divided them as the Pacific, Arctic, Antarctic, and Indian and Atlantic. So today we shall learn about what is originally present under these oceans. So it's completely covered with the water. Okay, for millions of years it has been raining, and due to this the low-lying areas have been filled up with water, and they turned out to be the oceans according to the continental drift theory of Alfred Wegener. So what is originally present in these low-lying areas? So there was a expedition, a British ship called as Challenger expedition was a formal expedition conducted in order to explore the deep ocean. So this Challenger has brought many kinds of information to the surface, and we shall learn about what is present in under the ocean, which we call it as ocean relief. In order to understand this ocean relief, children, I will draw you a picture. See, and it's completely water. It's the ocean which I am talking about. This is all water. This is all water. This is all water. This is all water. And it is all water. 1 second. So this is all water. Now let me name what are the different oceanic relief features. This area we call it as a continental shelf. And this area, this slope, we call it as continental slope. This is a continental slope and this is a continental shelf, and this area, the plain area, we call it as, this entire area we call it as deep sea plain. And you find this one, a sudden depth, this is called as trenches. The deepest part in the ocean are the trenches. So now we shall learn about this ocean relief in detail now. This is a shallow waters. This shallow water is a continental shelf, and after that the landmass has got a sudden slope Isn't the slope is gentle? No, it's a drastic slope. And here there is a gentle slope again. It's all plain. So this is called as a deep sea plain. Most of the ocean is covered with a deep sea ocean. 76% of the ocean covers with deep sea plains. It's nothing but the deepest part. And this deepest part is between 3000 meters to 6000 meters in the depth. And coming to the continental shelves, if we talk about the continental shelves, children, this height varies from 200 meters. Okay, the depth is of 200 meters, and you know it covers an area of just 7.6% of the entire ocean. Only 7.6% of the area is covered by this, and the width will be of 1500 kilometers. The width is of 1500 kilometers. Okay, and this is the place where the seaports are built, and it is also the place where fishing is done. This is also place where petroleum is available and we extract the petroleum. So these all are the uses of the continental shelf through which we get large benefits. And you know, one more thing is the Siberian shelf. The Siberian shelf is the largest shelf in the world. So the Siberian shelf advantages, you know it very well. You find large fish wealth there, and petroleum and natural gases are also found there. And we can also build seaports in this region because they are of shallow water. But it occupies only 7.6% of the total ocean bed. But whereas the continental slope occupies an area of 15% of the total ocean, and its depth is 200 to 3000 meters, children. Up to 200 meters it is a continental shelf, but from 200 meters to 3000 meters it is a continental slope. And this continental slope occupies an area of 15% of the total ocean area, and this continental slope boundary indicates that the continents it's nothing but it's the boundary of the continents. And submarine canyons have also been observed in this region. We have seen the Grand Colorado, the canyon. So the such kind of canyons are also found in this region with a narrow edges. These are formed because of the process of erosion of glaciers and rivers under the water. And coming to the deep sea plain, where 76% of the ocean bed is covered, and it lies between 3000 meters to 6000 meters depth, and this is the flattest and smoothest regions of the world. Deep sea plains are the flattest, I am talking about flattest and smoothest. They are the flattest and smoothest regions of the world, and these regions cover 76% of the entire ocean bed. But coming to the trenches, the deepest part of the ocean is called as a trench. So these are the narrow plungy trenches which are of 6000 meters. 6000 meters from the sea level, vertically under the water. And contrary to our expectations, most of these trenches are located very near to the continents. They are generally, we think that it is in the middle of the ocean, but to our expectation contrary, they are present very near to the ocean. And so far we have explored 57 trenches. And out of them, the deepest trench so far we have found is of Mariana Trench located in the Pacific Ocean. The depth of it is 11,000 meters. It's not of 5,000, 6,000 children. The depth is of 11,000 meters. Apart from that, we also have the trenches like Puerto Rico Neves Trench, which is of 10,475 meters, and even the Java Trench in Indian Ocean, which is of depth 7,450 meters. And coming to the salinity on the ocean, if this is clear with you, we move on to the salinity in the oceans, children. Let us move on to the salinity. Have you ever eaten food without the salt in it? Have you ever tasted? Have you ever tasted? You haven't. Then from where does this salt comes from? From where does? From the ocean? Is there any other source other than ocean from where the salt comes? During the freedom struggle even, Gandhiji under the civil disobedience movement has conducted a Dandi march in which making of the salt was the right of the people. He tried to convey it, isn't it? Which is one of the largest freedom movement in the world. Today, let us learn why this ocean water is saline. As you all know that it has been raining for millions of years. So because of the rain, because of the rivers, because of the streams passing through these mountains and other rocky areas, they carry with them a compound called as NaCl. It's nothing but sodium chloride. The common name for this sodium chloride is common salt, which we put it in our curries, without which they doesn't taste good. So this is a common salt which gets eroded from the rocks. They flow into the ocean, and these oceans are filled up with the salts. And when it gets evaporated, only the fresh water gets evaporated and salts remain in the ocean. That's the reason why the ocean water will be saline. Hope you understood why the ocean waters remain saline. So today, now let us see how this salinity, the term is used to define the total amount of salts dissolved in the water. So it is calculated as the amount of salt in grams dissolved in the 1000 grams of seawater. If you take 1000 grams of seawater, you divide it into the 1000 parts, that is per parts of 1000. Generally speaking, average salinity of the ocean is 35%. That means out of this 1000, 35 parts will be salt, or about 35 parts of the salt in 1000 parts of the water. All sea waters contain large amounts of dissolved minerals, a matter of which sodium chloride is common salt alone, which constitutes 77.8%. There are many other dissolved minerals which are present, but 77% it is of the sodium chloride. So river water contains 2% of the sodium chloride, but they never taste you the salty, because 77% of salinity salt is present in these oceanic water. They taste you the saline. And when it comes to what are the factors which influences the salinity in different parts of the ocean, whether the salinity is uniform in all the areas, the amount of salt which you get from here in this ocean and from another ocean, will it be the same? No. There are various factors which influences the salinity of the water. So evaporation and precipitation will reduce the salinity. And in coastal areas, by the fresh water from where the rivers flow into it, in those areas, and the polar regions, by the way of what we call melting of the ice also, the reduction in the salinity occurs. And winds, by transferring water to other areas, it's nothing but the prevailing winds will carry the tides which occur. This also will decrease the salinity. And the ocean water, ocean currents. The ocean currents are nothing but the ocean rivers which flow in the specific direction. That also causes differences in the salinity. Either they increase or they reduce. So these are the four factors. What are the four factors I discussed with you? The first factor is about the precipitation, children. The precipitation as well as the evaporation will either increase or reduce the salinity. And second factor is the coastal regions, where you find the river water joining into the oceanic water. And third reason is the winds by transferring the water. And fourth reason is the ocean currents. In the tomorrow's lesson, we shall see about the ocean temperature and other things relating to the ocean. Thank you, children.